Okay, let's talk about something you're doing this very second, without even thinking about it. Breathing. You do it more than 20,000 times a day. So today, we're going to follow the incredible journey of just one of those breaths, from the air all around you, deep into your body, to see the amazing system that makes it all happen.
But first things first, have you ever really stopped to wonder what's in the air we breathe? I mean, we just call it air, but the reality? It's way more complicated than that. It's a whole cocktail of stuff, and our bodies have to be ready for all of it.
And yeah, that air is a wild mix. Sure, you've got your oxygen and water vapor, but did you know you're also breathing in noble gases like krypton and even trace amounts of radioactive radon? And then there's all the stuff we definitely don't want in our lungs: dust, dirt particles, and yep, even the occasional tiny insect. That right there is why our bodies need a seriously sophisticated air filter.
And that air filter is the very first stage of our journey, the upper airways. You can think of it like a multi-layered security system, a kind of protective gauntlet that has to clean, warm, and prepare that air before it gets anywhere close to our delicate lungs.
It's a brilliant three-step defense. First up, you've got your nasal hairs, acting like a coarse filter for the big stuff. Anything smaller gets caught in a sticky layer of mucus. So, how does the body get rid of that gunk? Well, that's where the cilia come in. These are microscopic little hairs that are in constant motion, like a wave, sweeping all that mucus back toward your throat so you can just swallow it. Your stomach acid takes care of the rest.
This whole amazing process actually has a name. It's called mucociliary clearance. It is the body's incredible, non-stop, self-cleaning mechanism. It's happening for you right now, keeping your lungs clean, and you probably never even notice it.
And the preparation doesn't stop with just cleaning. Your nasal passages also work like a climate control system. They warm and humidify the air, so by the time it actually reaches your lungs, it's at the absolute perfect temperature and moisture level. Pretty smart, huh?
So, now that the air is filtered, warmed, and prepped, it travels down the throat and enters the main highway to the lungs. It's time to go deeper, down into what's known as the bronchial tree.
This highway is your trachea. You probably know it as your windpipe. It's a pretty sturdy tube, reinforced with these C-shaped rings of cartilage. They're there to keep it from collapsing, making sure that airway always stays open.
Right near your heart, the trachea splits into two main branches, one for each lung. And this is a really cool example of functional design. Your left lung is actually a little bit smaller, with only two lobes, to make room for your heart, which is nestled right beside it. The right lung, on the other hand, is a bit larger and has three lobes.
Now, once inside the lungs, these main branches divide again and again and again, just like the branches of a tree. The bigger branches are called bronchi, and they still have cartilage to keep them propped open. But as they get smaller and smaller, they turn into what we call bronchioles, which don't have cartilage anymore. Instead, they're wrapped in smooth muscle and elastic fibers, which lets them get wider or narrower. And at the very end of these tiniest little branches, we've arrived. This is the final destination. This is the climax of our whole journey, the reason we breathe in the first place. It's time for the great gas exchange.
Okay, get ready for a mind-boggling number. At the end of all those branches, you have somewhere between 300 and 400 million microscopic air sacs called alveoli. If you could somehow spread them all out flat, they would cover an entire tennis court. That massive surface area is the key to everything.
So the walls of these little alveoli are incredibly thin. I mean, unbelievably thin. They're made of these special cells called type 1 pneumocytes, and their design is perfected for one crucial process: diffusion.
That process, diffusion, sounds fancy, but it's based on a really simple, elegant idea. The air you just breathed in fills the alveoli with lots of oxygen. Well, the blood that's just arrived at the lungs is low in oxygen. So naturally, oxygen moves from where there's a lot of it, the alveoli, to where there's less of it, the blood. At the exact same time, your blood is full of a waste product, carbon dioxide, which moves in the opposite direction, from the blood into the alveoli so you can breathe it out. It's a perfect swap.
The heroes of this whole exchange are your red blood cells, or erythrocytes. You can think of them as the delivery trucks of your body. Each one has iron in it, which acts kind of like a magnet, grabbing onto oxygen molecules and carrying them away from the lungs to every single cell in your body that needs energy.
So we've followed the journey of the air itself. But what's actually powering this whole system? What's the engine that pulls the air in and pushes it out thousands of times a day? Well, it's time to head into the engine room and check out the mechanics of breathing.
The main powerhouse, the star of the show, is a big, dome-shaped muscle right below your lungs called the diaphragm. Now, there are other muscles in your chest and neck that help out, but the diaphragm does most of the heavy lifting, especially when you're just relaxing.
Now this is really cool. Think about how your rib cage actually moves when you breathe in. There are two perfect analogies for it. First, your ribs swing up and out, just like the handle on a bucket. That makes more space side to side. At the same time, your sternum moves up and forward, just like you're working an old water pump handle. That makes more space front to back. Together, these two movements create a vacuum that just sucks air right into your lungs.
And this creates two main styles of breathing that you probably noticed yourself. When you're exercising really hard, you tend to rely more on those ribcage muscles for quick, shallow chest breathing. But when you're relaxed, you use the most natural and efficient method, diaphragmatic breathing, where that diaphragm muscle just lowers to pull air in and rises to push it out. Simple as that.
And to make sure all this expanding and contracting happens without any friction, your lungs are wrapped in a super thin, two-layered membrane called the pleura. It creates a lubricated surface that lets the lungs glide smoothly against your chest wall with every single breath. It's like the body's own perfect non-stick coating.
And that brings our journey to a close. From a simple gust of wind, all the way to becoming the fuel for your cells. This entire complex process of filtering, warming, transporting, and exchanging happens on autopilot, thousands of times a day. It really makes you wonder, right? If this incredible invisible miracle is happening with every breath you take, what other amazing things is your body doing for you right this very second?